That's got like a Hawaii feel to it. I kind of like that, right? I don't know what. Oh, there we go. Now it's going. Now it's going. There you go. I like it. Welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us. Jamieson Welsh from Drive Time Sports in studio as well. Jamieson, always appreciate it when you come in.
Thank you for having me, man.
Thank
Definitely
you.
appreciate it.
Well, we're gonna talk a little NBA playoffs. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna talk a little Vegas Golden Knights also. But a little bit off of NBA. We're gonna take a few phone calls. We're still talking about Donald Trump, Bernie Sanders, and the whole 9 yards. You know what we do here on this show, Jamieson. I also want to talk about this situation in Colorado where 19 school districts had to shut down because of this one nut job who unfortunately, fortunately, I guess, for everybody else, but unfortunate for her and her family, she took her own life. We'll get to that coming up in a little bit. Chris has been waiting patiently on hold, and I wanted him to join us at the beginning of this segment because I didn't want to cut him short. So, Chris, you're on, my friend.
Yeah, back to that earlier topic about the transgender. It just seems like there was an issue with you a few times, the first few times I've been listening, and I'm trying to figure out the origins of this whole issue. Seems like it went back to Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Okay.
There was a study in 2016 commissioned by the Obama administration.
Right.
And they were looking at the costs of it.
Exactly.
It was very minimal.
Yes. So let me address that. And you bring up valid points. First of all, Don't Ask, Don't Tell is very different than this issue. In fact, they're completely separate issues. So let's not talk about Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And by the way, not to say that I don't disagree with that. I don't think anyone should have to tell somebody what their sexual orientation is. When it comes, and I'm sure you agree, when it comes to this issue, and you're right, Obama did bring this issue to the forefront. They wanted to know how much money does it cost if someone is in the military and they want a sex change. The problem with what Trump is trying to do in his administration is it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with just if you want to get a sex change. You could already be a he or a she or whatever you want, and many of those people are still going to be banned from serving. And by the way, they don't even have to be people that have guns on their backs or that are risking their lives. These are people that have been 20, 30 years behind a desk, and the majority of these people are going to get a letter that says you can no longer serve. And Chris, I just think that is completely and utterly wrong.
Yeah, I was just what were the origins? How did that even start?
It started with Obama.
The White House administration is huge. He's got so many advisors. The Department of Defense is huge. I'm sure he's got the ear. Someone's got his ear.
Right.
And I've got one more issue.
Okay,
one more question.
Go ahead.
I'd be happy to take your comments off the air.
Go for it.
With regards to what looks to be some fracturing in the Democratic Party coming into 2020, with Nancy Pelosi, did you hear her glass of water comment?
I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
I didn't like it either, and I wonder where you think that might go.
Well, here's what I think. Chris, and that's a very good question, and I appreciate the call. Nancy Pelosi is an older lady. I don't think she likes the fact that Omar is stealing the thunder of the day, getting all the headlines, some good, some not so good. Same thing with Ocasio-Cortez. I think Pelosi is the one that's in charge, and she wants all the headlines. I think a part of it is ego. I really do. Now, I think another part of it is I don't think Omar is a very intelligent person. I wouldn't say that about Ocasio-Cortez. I hear a lot of people saying, Ocasio-Cortez, she doesn't know what she's talking about. She's an idiot. She's dumb. I don't think Ocasio-Cortez is dumb. I actually think she's very well spoken. I don't agree with some of her policies. The problem with Omar is she says very insensitive things sometimes. I don't know if she's anti-Semitic. I just don't know. I don't know what's in her heart. I say the same thing about Donald Trump. I don't know if he's a racist. I don't know what's in his heart. What I do know about Omar is she says a lot of dumb things. When you're talking about 9/11, especially if you're a Muslim, you don't want to make the comment, some people did some bad things. No, these were terrorists. This was Al-Qaeda. You have to be very careful with your wording. You don't want to go on a tweet and say it's all about the Benjamins when talking about Jewish people. She does and says stupid things. It needs to stop. And if it doesn't stop, she needs to leave office. Simple as that. As far as Pelosi goes, she wants the headlines. She's the person in charge. I don't think she likes the fact that some of these younger women are stealing some of her thunder. So I hope I answered your question. Take another quick phone call. JD, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind, JD?
Well, hello, JD, and hello, Brian.
Good to hear from you, JD. What's up?
Hey, JD, what's up?
Well, I wasn't going to call your show anymore, Brian and JD, after the last intersection we had a couple of weeks ago.
Why is that? I don't remember.
Pardon me?
I don't remember. I don't recall. Tell us why.
Well, you called me everything but a jackoff.
And why did I say that? Why did I say that?
because you disagreed with the facts that I was presenting.
What did I call you specifically? That insulted.
Moron, jerk off, this, that.
I've never used that word that starts with a J. I've never called somebody that before on the air. I mean, if you want me to, I'll call you that, but I don't enjoy calling people that. I don't enjoy calling people morons.
Let's not waste time on euphemisms. I don't care.
Okay.
It doesn't bother me.
Well, clearly it does, because you said you stopped calling me because of it.
I just had to set up the call, but a good friend of mine, Brian, called, and he told me he was going to call, and he mentioned the tickets, and I couldn't care less about the tickets. We spoke off the air.
Fair enough.
Ago. Forget the tickets.
Okay.
I've seen enough boobs in my life that I don't need any more.
Okay.
And JD,
I'm glad to hear that.
I respect your opinions very much, and I would wish that you would be more involved in the show, especially when you have Wynn on, who seems to overtalk the entire show. Like I said, I wasn't going to call you because of your unfactual statements. Like Bernie tonight, 4%. He never even came close to 4%.
All right, well, that's according to Fox News.
Well, Fox News makes mistakes, too.
Okay, so how much did he donate?
When we talked many months ago about Sheriff Lombardo saying 88,000 felonies and 33,000 of them were committed by illegals, you said you were going to check the facts. You never checked the facts, and you can't, because if you know that you're wrong, you're not going to check the facts, Brian.
No, that's not true. That's
why did you ever check the facts on what I told you about 88,000 felonies, of which 33,000 were committed by illegals in Clark County?
Because I'll give you the same answer every time. And you're not going to like the answer, but I'll give it to you every single time. Even if those stats are 100% true, the majority of illegals that come into the country are not bad people and are not felons.
How could you make that statement when 33% in Clark County are
So you're telling me that you think that the majority of illegals...
33% are felons
I'm asking you a very specific question, JD, so I want you to think about it before you react emotionally. I know you don't like it when I do that. You're telling me on a 50,000-watt radio station that you believe the majority, we're talking 51% would be the majority, of illegals that come into this country are felons. Are you willing to say that on the air right now?
What I am telling you,
it's a yes or no question. Yes or no?
No, obviously no. I am telling you 33% of the felonies
you could have
Clark
that.
County
That's fine.
By the sheriff.
That's fine.
By
I'll give
Sheriff
you that.
Lombardi are felons.
Fine.
That's a big number, Brian. That's
okay.
25 to 28,000
JD, okay.
felonies.
All right, so okay, let's just say that's 100% true, okay? All those people that come into this country illegal that commit felonies, they should never be allowed to come back or put them in jail as far as I'm concerned. But we need to figure out a way for the asylum seekers, the good people that are, yes, they're coming into this country illegally.
Well, you keep talking about that, and we are talking about something that happened
You never bring up good people. JD, every time you...
going on
JD.
Since the Reagan administration, when Tip O'Neill, the Speaker of the House...
Why are you talking about Tip O'Neill?
If Reagan amnesty 3 million people, that we would have a solution to the border.
I have another question for you. I have another question. Why is it that every single time you call in and we talk about illegals, you never talk about the good people? You never talk about the asylum seekers.
Brian,
you always want to demonize them.
Brian, could I interrupt you for a brief minute?
Just answer the question. I don't want history. I don't want your history.
I lived in Acapulco, Mexico for 2 years. I love the Mexican people.
Okay.
I had a nanny for my children.
I don't want to hear your history, JD. I don't want to hang up on you.
I had a nanny for 2 years.
I just said I don't want to. I don't care about your nanny and your history. With all due respect.
I'm very, very happy that we're picking up right where we left off.
All
right, JD.
They're good people.
You don't answer.
Catholic. They're God-fearing.
All right.
They're very good people.
Okay, JD, you're a good person as well, but you don't like to answer my questions, and that is my problem with you. I'm not going to call you any names today. I appreciate you calling in. We have a very special guest here in studio.
JD, thanks for the call.
Yes, thank you for the call, JD. I appreciate it. But JD, am I wrong? Every single time he calls in, he tries to demonize illegals. Am I wrong? Be honest.
I don't know about demonized, but he definitely has a lot to say about
has he ever
illegals
said
and the supposed crimes they've committed, not just here but also in Texas.
I'm going to put Jamieson.
And he relates that to his personal experiences.
I'm going to put Jamieson on the spot here. I'm sorry, Jamieson. I have to do it.
What's going on?
Okay, you see how heated I get with these types of subjects.
Every week.
Can we be honest here? Can we be fair here? Tell me if you disagree with me. the majority of illegals coming into this country, they're good people. They're not felons, right?
I mean, even the 33% is right. 67% is
Exactly.
So that's the majority. Anything over 50% is the majority. So even with his own words.
But Jamieson, Trump
That's a solid D.
Yes, but Trump supporters,
D.
all they want to do is talk about the bad. Jamieson, I talked about a story yesterday about a husband who's lost his wife in Afghanistan. I don't know if you heard about this story, okay? Terrible tragedy, okay? There's a law put in place for extenuating circumstances. He was allowed to stay here, wasn't labeled an illegal, and then they deported him. And because the story got into the media, he was able to come back. But people like JD will never call in and talk about stories like that. He only wants to talk about the bad people that come into this country and commit crimes. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. I mean, look, if someone comes into this country and commits a felony, that's it. You're done as far as I'm concerned. Throw them in jail.
Send back.
Yeah. But again, all I'm saying is we need to do something about the good people, the asylum seekers. There needs to be some sort of pathway to citizenship. Some of these people don't have the means to be able to come into this country. But anyway, that's another. We can continue this topic tomorrow, Jamieson. Anyway, that's Jamieson Welsh from Drive Time Sports, JD Sharp in studio. We're going to talk a little basketball. I just did want to mention this really quickly because this is a big story. I mentioned it in the first hour. Can I mention this really? Go ahead, JD. You want it before I?
No, you can mention it, but
Okay.
I have something very, very exciting to report.
Okay, good. So I just want to say that this is. We all remember Columbine, right? I remember where I was. You remember. We were just talking off the air. You were in junior high.
Right, yeah.
I was in college, hustling people, playing 9-ball in the student union center at my school. I was skipping classes and playing billiards, and I'm watching this on TV.
Smoking doobies.
No, I wasn't doing
You're
that.
not smoking any doobies?
No,
Okay.
I wasn't doing. No. I never did that stuff.
All right.
No, I never did that stuff. Did you? Did you smoke doobies?
I believe I was 13 years old or 14 years old when Columbine took place.
Okay, you didn't answer my question. I noticed you dodged it, but that's okay. We're used to that. You'd be a very good politician, anyway. So anyway, this happened today, where a teenager whose threats forced the closure of 19 districts in Colorado. Horrible ending. Could have been worse. She killed herself outside Denver with a shotgun. Police found her body, 18 years old, and she made some very serious threats. She wanted to mimic Columbine and copycat Columbine. I have to give credit where credit is due to the FBI for following up on tips. People were very diligent. This could have been a horrible circumstance. If the FBI wasn't involved here and these schools were not shut down today, God forbid, we could have seen another Columbine today. My question is, how does she get a gun? And are we ever going to see things like this end in our society?
We'll never see it end. We'll never see it end.
I don't think it's going to end, but these people all want attention to themselves, and the way they derive that is through Snapchat and social media and Instagram and Facebook. And if the FBI and if government agencies start really, really following that like they should, it'll be much, much more likely to stop these things from taking, because no one's just doing this without making a big statement about it.
True.
They all want attention. And you generate attention digitally these days. And if you pay attention to the digital, there's a way to stop this.
And you're right, and that's a big part of why the FBI was able to at least find out who this woman is, put it all over the news, shut down the schools. I mean, that's we talk about social media and how there's so many negatives, but this is a positive here, right? I mean, this is, she was posting on her social media pages about how she was going to do something like that. The FBI found out about
Finally,
it.
something happened.
Right. So I wish, more people would, because let's be honest, a lot of these people that are threatening to do these types of things, they're mentally ill. They don't think to themselves, "Ooh, I better not post something on social media because then people might find out about it." They don't think like that. They're mentally ill people. So,
and they're also just like I said, craving attention.
Yes,
they want people to know what they're doing.
Exactly. So, luckily, of course, it's a horrible tragedy for her family. But at the same time, a lot more people could have lost their lives. So we won't do 40 more minutes on the Mueller report, I promise. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But let's talk a little hoops. Huh? Let's talk some sports. Jamieson Welsh from Drive Time Sports is our hoops guru, and we've had somebody waiting patiently on hold, waiting to talk a little basketball with you. So why don't we take some calls? 257-5396, 702-257-5396. We're going to talk a little NBA playoff action. We'll get to the Vegas Golden Knights. Scott, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. You are on with Jamieson Welsh. How are you?
Good. Jameson, I need some in-depth analysis from you. You ready?
Go ahead.
Which I think is an epidemic, and I haven't heard anybody talk about it. The NCAA transfer portal. Why is it that there's 800 names in this? It leads me to believe that college basketball players, are they that miserable? What is going on with all these guys transferring?
It happens in football a lot as well. It doesn't get publicized much, but it happens in football a lot. The biggest issue is a lot of kids make bad decisions when they're committing to a school. A lot of kids commit to the wrong school, but also we have a lot of coaching turnover. And I'll do one example. University of Cincinnati loses Mick Croman. They get their coach from Northern Kentucky, who has to go get a coach from another school. And it's a trickle-down effect, and this happens at a lot of schools. So if you get recruited by a guy and he leaves the next year and he brings in a whole new staff that doesn't know you, doesn't like you, it's a totally different situation. So that's why you have a lot of kids bouncing around, because you have more coaching turnover now more than ever.
And basketball is a system sport, and when the system doesn't work, and with a new coach it may not work, it's a real problem. This just happened.
I remember in 1994, guys, UNLV had a guy, his name was Kibu Stewart. He was the MVP of the Big West, 6'8", 240, and out of nowhere he transferred to Cal State Bakersfield, D2. It was huge news. But it didn't happen as much 25 years ago, I don't think.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So Marquette just lost the Hauser brothers. If they didn't lose those guys, Jamieson, because they brought in Kobe McEwen from Utah State.
Right.
They would have had Marcus Howard, Sakura Nim, Theo John. I mean, their entire lineup had come back.
Right.
But they lost the Hauser brothers. I mean, they would have been a top 3, top 5 team next year.
Definitely.
And now the Hauser brothers, they have to sit out a year. They'll probably go to Wisconsin
or Virginia.
But that's a prime example of how the transporter is just totally changing the NCAA.
Scott, do you have any other NBA questions for Jamieson now that you're on the line?
NBA, let's say, okay, NBA. How many points is Boogie Cousins worth a game to the Warriors? That's my question.
Well, now 0.
Yeah,
I know, but in the line.
So here's the thing: on the betting line, not much. His importance is this: he's a guy that they can play different lineups with, and they can rest guys. They can experiment with a lot of different lineups. Now that he's gone, they have to go back to their traditional, basically small ball lineups, and that means you're playing Looney more, you're playing Iguodala more, Livingston more. When Boogie was at the 5, you can put Looney at the 4, you can rest Draymond a bit. Now it shortens the rotation. So if anything, it might hurt them a bit, but they're still the favorites, overwhelming favorites at that.
Thank you for the call, Scott. We appreciate it. 257-5396 if you want to call in. Speaking of the Golden State Warriors, the other night, on Monday night, we saw the Warriors go out to a 31-point lead, and the Clippers didn't give up. Give them credit. They played hard. They continued to fight. Jamieson, how do you explain that? I think it was the biggest comeback in NBA playoff history, was it not?
It was.
How do you explain that? How do the Golden State Warriors just fold?
Man, so here's the thing. It's like anything else. We see it in every sport where a team gets up big and they just lay off the gas. They say, you know what, we're good. We got this game in the bag. And a team like the Clippers, where you have a bunch of grinders, they're not going to stop playing. And the Warriors start turning the ball over a lot. It's not like they stop scoring. They start turning the ball over a lot. The Clippers got hot. Gallinari got hot. Montrezl Harrell had a few dunks, layups. He got hot. And then next thing you know, it went from like 31 to like 14 like that. And it went from like 14 to 6 like that. Like, oh, okay, well, we have a game. It's very difficult to go up by 31 and then shut it off and then try to flip that switch back on. It's very difficult, especially at this time in the NBA.
But, I mean, look, Golden State Warriors are going to win this series.
Yes.
But I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult than they thought. And could something like this affect them heading into the Western Conference Finals, assuming they get there, heading into the NBA Finals? Is this a big negative, or is it is a nothing burger and they'll come back and they'll be fine?
It's more of a notice like, hey, don't let off the gas. We see what happens when you let off the gas. That's the thing. Now, the only issue is this. Their rotation's thinner now because Boogie is gone. So you don't want to play any extra games than you have to. I think they take care of business versus Clippers the next 3 games, get them out of there. But at the same time, they're playing an extra game they have no business playing.
We just had a caller who did not want to go on the air. His name is Alan, and Alan wanted to ask Jamieson Welsh, do you think LeBron James has another playoff year left in him? I mean, I could pretty much answer that, but I'll let Jamieson answer. Go ahead.
He has several. He's a guy, he averaged, 28, 8, and 8 this year. He wasn't the main issue. I mean, his injury definitely set him back. Their biggest issue is that once that trade demand happened, they pretty much threw the season out the window because you can't threaten to trade half the team and it not go through and expect to trust those guys and believe in those guys. It doesn't work that way. But if they were healthy, they would have been in the playoffs and they probably would have got Denver and they would have had a 50-50 chance against them. He'll be all right.
Can he get to the playoffs again?
That's a no-brainer. As long as he's healthy, health permitting, if he's healthy, that's a no-brainer.
Tyronn Lue's going to be the next Lakers coach, correct? Or is it Juwan Howard? It's got to be one of those two, right?
I would say one. I'd be surprised if it's anyone else.
It's got to be somebody with NBA experience.
No Monty Williams?
No, he doesn't have.
So here's the thing. Monty's the assistant at Philly right now. And there's word that if they don't get to the conference finals, Brett Brown's out of there. And he's like the next up in Philly. So We'll see what happens.
By the way, I think that would be the right move.
Yeah, Brett Brown's not a good coach.
Not a good basketball coach at all. He has maybe be an assistant somewhere. That's fine. But the fact that he's still the head coach there, I thought after last year he was going to get canned, quite frankly. But
yeah, a little bit different.
Yeah, different circumstance. I understand. 257-5396 the number to call again. 257-5396. We got Jamieson Welsh from Drive Time Sports, our hoops guru, in studio, along with J.D. Sharp as well. The NBA playoffs are heating up. I also want to get to the Vegas Golden Knights, and we will get to that coming up. We're just talking a little bit about the Lakers situation. Their NBA playoffs today, by the way, the Celtics defeat the Pacers 99-91. The Pacers score 12 points in the fourth quarter. It doesn't get more pathetic than that. I got to say, I'm a little bit surprised with this score. The Rockets are just destroying the Jazz once again, 57-36 with about 4 minutes left to go in the first half. Jazz are not a bad basketball team, but Houston just has too much firepower, and they're just too talented. I think Houston's on a mission this year. I really do. I think Chris Paul and James Harden want to get over the hump.
It sounds good, but the Jazz are like literally the best matchup for the Rockets. They're a team that, they do defend well, but they have no one to create on the perimeter besides Donovan Mitchell. In the playoffs, being a good team, even Denver, who has their liabilities, they have guys that can make things happen off the bounce. Mm-hmm. The Jazz have one guy, and he's a young guy that's still inefficient. They need another one or two playmakers on the wing to make things happen. Until that happens, you're going to get similar results.
Bucks not having any issues with the Pistons. I think you can make the argument the Pistons could be the worst playoff team in the NBA. They're just not very good, right?
They're about their best player, too.
Yeah. So the Bucks shouldn't be having any problems there. They got 117 points up there. They're up 18 with about a minute and change to go in that one. So we know the Bucks are going to advance. The Celtics off. What do you make of the Celtics? I mean, the Pacers are not a great team, but they're not bad defensively. The Celtics they were down in this game, double digits at one point. They came back.
The Pacers were up like 3 minutes, 3 points, like a minute and change to go.
Yeah.
And they lost by 8. Kind of tells you what happened at the end. The Pacers are going to get one game in Indy, if not two. They're going to at least get one. They play hard. There's just a team that just doesn't have the resources. You got to have a go-to guy this time of the year. You got to have a guy that you know who can make things happen. I mean, they're running plays for Wesley Matthews and Bogdanovich. That's just not going to work in April, May. It's just not a whole lot of future in that.
You look at Philadelphia, they were down 1-0. They took care of business game 2 at home. Same thing with the Raptors.
Yep.
Raptors were down 1-0, and they also took care of business and just put a shellacking on the Magic. I expect the Raptors and Philadelphia to come out of their series with wins.
Yes, correct. That's going to be the second-round matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's going to be a good matchup.
It is. They'll put the theory that Toronto, who's their second guy? Who's their second guy that can make plays? And also for Philly, can they get over the hump and make things happen versus an elite team? It'll be interesting to see.
Nuggets didn't have a problem. They were able to get past the San Antonio Spurs as well. Your thoughts on that?
It was
series?
dicey. I mean, San Antonio was up like 19, I think, in the second quarter, and even in the third quarter, they were up double digits. Jamal Murray had a hell of a fourth quarter. He figured it out. Millsap had a good game. The game 2, for those who bet, usually game 2 after the home team loses game 1 is the guaranteed game. For most of last night, it looked very rough for Denver, but they found a way to win and cover.
Yeah. Thunder Trailblazers, I got to say, I got to give Paul George some props because a lot of people don't even think he should be out there on the floor with his bum shoulder. He scored 27 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists yesterday. You got to give him a lot of credit for the effort that he put forth. He is nowhere near 100%.
So here's the thing. Either he's hurt or he's not. We can't keep on hearing these excuses. Either he's hurt or he's able to play, because it's one thing to be able to lift your shoulder, not be able to lift your shoulder 4 games before a playoff game, and then you come back the next day after a playoff game and say everything's fine.
Yeah.
And you can't play both sides of the fence. We got to figure out what's going on. He has enough tape on his shoulders to tie down a Christmas tree on a car. Like, that's how much it's ridiculous. Like, it's that. So I'd rather him, if he's hurt, just say he's hurt. Like, it is what it is. Like, we don't really care at this point of the year because no one really cares. It's about winning or losing.
Yep.
And right now, his health isn't the reason why they're losing.
I agree with that, and I think
they're losing because Russell Westbrook, again, what 4 of 21 yesterday?
That ain't the reason either.
Westbrook's not shooting the ball well. Do you think Donovan could be on his way out, or does he return?
Donovan will be the fall guy. When they lose this series, not if, but when they lose this series, he will be the fall guy. However, that roster's not constructed that well. They have no shooting. They have no shooting at all. When Russ drives and kicks, the guys are getting open threes and are missing them. And they're just been there clanking them.
Terrence Ferguson is their 3-point specialist.
No, Paul George is their 3-point specialist. And Ferguson's their second best guy after that. And that's a huge problem. They needed Patrick Peterson. He was the guy Patterson, sorry. That's the guy they needed. And he hasn't, and he's hurt and whatnot. So they're in a tough spot. But their roster construction, they're blamed more than anything.
Fair enough. He's Jamieson Welsh, Drive Time Sports, our hoops guru, along with J.D. Sharp. I am Brian Shapiro. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I do want to talk a little Vegas Golden Knights hockey because they really got the job done last night once again. I thought this would go 6 or 7 games, but I think the Knights could finish it in 5. We'll talk about that coming up next. We're listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.